Hi, my name is Ava and this is my brother Austin. We're going to be working together to demonstrate 10 functional E-cises from the Egoscue Institute for the Postural Support Specialist Certification. This E-cise is the hip crossover stretch with palms down. It supports in hip rotation with scapular engagement. So we start with the knees at a 45-degree angle, ensuring that the feet are pointed straight forward and about 4 to 6 inches apart, hip width apart. And you'll be bringing your arms out in a T position in alignment with your shoulders, so your wrists, elbows, and shoulders are in alignment, and you're going to bring your palms flat down. And then we'll work with one leg first. With the left leg, we lift it up and laterally rotate in the hip to connect your left ankle to your right knee. And in this, ensuring that the hips haven't jutted out and that you still feel a balanced alignment with your hips and your glutes on the floor. Then by keeping your ankle and your knee together, then you're going to rotate over onto your right side and making sure that your shoulders stay glued to the floor. Very slowly. Nice. And you're going to rotate until your left foot reaches the floor, making sure that your left foot is flat on the floor and that the side of your right leg is making contact with the floor. And then you're going to take your left knee away from your body towards the opposite wall. Breathing all the while as this supports in spinal rotation and lateral hip rotation. And you're going to hold this for 1 minute. And then to come out of this, you're going to make sure that you come out the same way that you went in by keeping your ankle and your knee glued together and then rolling up from the right side and then coming off with the left leg and then coming down. And then we repeat this process in the same way on the other side. This is the hip crossover stretch. This E-cise is the Crocodile. It supports in bilateral symmetry from the feet all the way up to the head. So we start in supine, and you're going to be bringing your feet hip width apart, making sure that your toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. So hip width about 4 to 5 inches apart. And then you're going to be bringing your hands out in a T position, so arms out, and making sure that your shoulders don't rise up. But instead you have your palms in, we'll do palms down again. And then we have from the wrist to the shoulder in alignment. And then with the feet in dorsiflexion, you're going to be taking your right heel, the Achilles tendon, and lifting that so that it makes connection with the metatarsals of the second and third toe. And you're going to contract your glutes and your quads, and you're going to roll over while still keeping your shoulder blades glued to the ground. You're going to roll your right hip up so that it can make as if it's like you're engaging with the ceiling. And only roll as far as you can while keeping your shoulders relaxed and connected to the ground and looking to the opposite side. And really keeping that connection with your quads and your glutes. This might be easier on the feet to be wearing shoes. And just breathe here and hold for 1 minute. And then to come out of this, then you will follow the same trajectory back by rolling down from your hip, and then coming on back into hip width distance apart with your feet, looking above, and then you will lift in your left foot and the left heel in the Achilles and connect to the second and third metatarsal on the right. And then again, contracting glutes and quads, palms down, relaxing in upper torso, and then tightening in the glutes and the quads to attempt to bring your left hip up to the ceiling and breathe. And then coming back the other way, breathing down, and this is the crocodile. This E-cise is the standing windmill. We start with the feet about 4 to 6 inches apart, and you want to make sure that your heels are connected to the wall. We have our hips and our shoulders in connection with the wall as well. This is supporting in reducing rotation. This is supporting in proper alignment of the joints with the support of the wall. Then we bring our arms out in a T position. And you can bring them down from the ears just a little bit, making sure that you're comfortable in the shoulders. And this E-cise requires 4 different positions. So the first one is with our feet hip width apart. We're going to make sure that the hips do not move, and we're going to laterally bend to the left, and then we come back up to bend to the right. And we do 5 repetitions with 1 bend to the left and to the right equaling 1. And then our second position is going to be having the feet out in about 18 inches apart, or 1.5 feet. That's great. And then we go through this process again of the lateral bend, ensuring that you don't bend to the hips, and that you're also just keeping your arms in the T position. And then for our third position, we bring our feet out to about 2.5 feet or 30 inches, keeping the toes pointed forward, and that engagement as you go through the process, the engagement of the scapula with the hips. And then to end with this, we do our fourth position, and that's coming back to our initial position of the feet hip width apart, and then go through the process. Lateral bend, up and down, making sure this is continuous throughout. And then back to center, close, and then arms down. This is the standing windmill. This E-cise is standing arm circles. It supports in thoracic stabilization and bilateral lumbar flexion. So we start standing with the feet hip width apart and the toes pointed forward. And we have our arms down our sides, and we're going to locate the golfer's grip. So the golfer's grip is where you draw your fingertips in, you curl them in, but you make sure that they stop just at the tops of the pads of the fingers. So sometimes it can be helpful to bring your palms together and then curl in from your palms down, and then stop just before you curl down into the palms totally, so it's then looking again at that original joint. And then extend your thumbs, and then bring your arms out into a T position. You're going to be pulling the shoulder blades back and down, and just to engage your rhomboids. And then you're going to be pointing your thumbs forward. Okay? And then from this position, you're going to make 40 circles about 6 inches in diameter. So actually, when you're in the direction of your thumbs. Sorry about that. So yeah, so circling in the direction of that your thumbs are pointing in. So bringing them forward, yes. 40 times. And then you're feeling for a little bit of this thoracic mobility in connection with this lumbar function. Okay, and then you're going to then bring your thumbs backwards towards the wall, and then you're going to make 40 circles 6 inches in diameter. Okay, and then again, coming back, and the way that you started, just bringing your hands down at your sides, and this is standing arm circles. This E-cise is called static extension. We are working on thoracic and lumbar extension with bilateral hip demand. So we start off on the floor on all fours. So you have your wrists directly beneath your shoulders, and you have your knees directly beneath your hips. So you actually need to bring them forward just a little bit to start, so that just making sure that you're square. So there's a 90-degree bend in the knees. And we have our feet parallel directly behind us, knees parallel, always parallel. Then you're going to step one hand forward. So basically it's going to be a hand width distance that you're going to step. And then that's about 4 to 6 inches. And then you're going to step the next hand forward. And then in order to ensure that the top of your shoulder is in connection with your wrist, you're just going to lean your body forward, keeping your knees exactly where they are. Perfect. And then making sure that the shoulder is in alignment with the wrist. Okay, so right now we have come forward to a greater angle here, and we're going to drop the head down, and we're going to bring the shoulder blades together. Great. And then creating an arch in the low back, and then allowing the belly to drop, and a little bit of an anterior pelvic tilt, and just sort of hanging in this way to create this extension all throughout. And then you'll be holding this for 2 minutes. If you do feel some discomfort in the lumbar area here, then you can just very slowly bring your hips back towards your feet, towards the wall, just until you don't feel any discomfort, and then continue to hang. This is static extension. This E-cise is upper spinal floor twist. We start in supine, and then we make our way into a fetal position. And how we do that is we want to make sure that your hips aren't directly stacked atop each other, and you will make sure your shoulders are stacked atop each other as well. And you're going to bring your arms directly straight out in front of you, and make sure that your palms are together. Sometimes there's a tendency for the bottom shoulder to roll forward, so it can help by just kind of tucking that back, bringing it back towards you, and then relaxing your head. And then for your hips, you're going to want to have a 90-degree angle here at the hips, so lifting the knees up. And then you want to have your bottom legs in alignment as well, so you have a 90-degree angle here at the legs. And then if you want, you're welcome to dorsiflex your feet just by bringing them up, your ankles in a 90-degree angle as well. And in this exercise, we're promoting upper torso rotation independent of the hips. So you want to make sure that your knees are glued together in this process, and you're going to lift your top hand and arm, keeping it straight, and you're going to arc it over to your other side. So you're rotating in your spine while keeping your knees glued together. And just following with your eyes over to the other side, and doing the best that you can to keep your torso relaxed. And you can take your bottom hand, as Austin is doing here, to keep your knees glued together. Because you want to make sure that you're not rocking your hip here, your hip remains stacked. An ultimate goal is we're going to want to bring your shoulder down to the floor, but only go as far as you can without your knees moving or your hips getting involved. And then from here, just take a nice deep breath and really feel that breath working through your torso and your spine, supporting and bringing out those posture muscles. And then to come out of this, just come out the same way that you went in, lifting your arm, bringing that together, and then rolling over onto your back for the other side. This is upper spinal floor twist. This E-cise is assisted hip lift. So we start in supine, and we'll need a wall for this. So we're going to take our feet and put them up on the wall so that you have your knees at a 90-degree angle, and your feet are going to be hip width apart, about 4 to 5 inches apart, 4 to 6 inches apart. And we will be taking the arms out at a 90-degree or a 45-degree angle, whatever's most comfortable. And then you're going to take I'm going to do your left side. So we're going to take your left ankle and place it onto your right knee. And if you find that your hips have actually lifted up off the ground, then I'd say go back to the placement, because you want to make sure that your hips maintain contact on the floor. So you're actually going to come back away from the wall a little bit. And so you have that 90-degree angle still, but just a little bit more space so that you can maintain alignment in your hips, because we're working on femur rotation. So now you're going to take the left ankle and place it over onto your right knee. Great. And then you're going to take the left knee and you're going to push it away from you. And then also dorsiflex your toes and feet. Great. And then you're going to be holding this for 1 minute, ensuring that your knee hasn't jutted out or your hips haven't jutted out, and you're just maintaining proper alignment through the hips. And then breathe. This is the assisted hip lift. This E-cise is downward dog. So we're starting here on all fours, where you have, again, your wrists are in alignment with your shoulders. And then you also want to have your knees in alignment with your hips, so directly stacked. Okay, and we're going to make sure that your feet are directly parallel behind you, and you're going to tuck your toes under so that you can pike up into a triangle position with your hips as the apex of the triangle. And we want to try to create a little bit of an arch in the low back here, since it helps to anteriorly rotate the hips and also bring the shoulder blades together, but also not up to the ear, but just a little bit together. You want to have the weight on your index and your thumb. That kind of gives a little bit of the idea that the shoulders are coming together. And then you want to press down into your heels. And it's okay if they can't go all the way down to the floor. If you need to put a slight bend in your knees to support that, then you can. Just as long as we're focused on keeping the legs engaged, the muscles of the legs. So we're really supporting an extension all throughout the back and the legs. And you're going to be holding this for 1 minute. And actually, we are also focusing on bringing the chest towards the quads. Yes, chest towards the quads, lift up in the hips, heels down, pressure on the index and the thumb. This is downward dog. This E-cise is supine foot circles with point flexes. So we start out supine, lying on the floor, and we're going to bring our feet so that they are about hip width apart. Okay, about 4 to 6 inches apart. And then you're going to bend one knee, start with your right knee, up into like a 90-degree angle, and then make sure that your bottom part of your leg here is parallel to the floor. And you're going to clasp your hands behind your knee joint here. And you want to make sure that your shoulders are not coming up off the ground. So if they are, it's okay if you're not in a 90-degree angle here. If you need to bring your knee closer to you just to ensure that your shoulders are in connection with the ground, then that's important. And then just relaxing a little bit in the shoulders too. And then with this bottom leg here, just keeping this bottom leg relaxed, but then you're going to dorsiflex your toes. So just bringing it so that your toes are pointed towards your shins. So it's like between second and third toes are in direct alignment with your hip. And you are then going to circle outwards with your ankle, focusing on your ankle and keeping your knee stabilized. Just slow circles. This is promoting mobility and strengthening all the lower muscles here and supporting in gait. And then you're going to circle the other way 40 times. And then once you've completed that, circling one way 40 times, then the other, then you're going to come back to center, and then you're going to initiate the point flexes. So we bring our toes back towards our shin to flex, and then we point down towards the wall. And that counts as one rep. Back towards the toes and down. You're going to do that 40 times. And this is supine point flexes with foot circles. This E-cise is called air bench. So we'll need a wall for this, and it's important for you to be wearing shoes or to have a yoga mat unless you have really sticky padded feet. So we're going to come up against the wall. And we're going to have our feet hip width apart and pointed forward. And from this, we're going to connect with the wall, and you're going to sort of kind of slide down the wall while you are simultaneously walking out with your feet. So just keep that connection with the wall. And bending in your knees, walking out. And you want to bend down into about a 105-degree angle. You can go down as low as 90 degrees, but nothing lower than 90 degrees. And then you're ensuring that your feet are still pointed forward. And you can tuck in your tailbone just a bit so that you're really focusing on your low back, connecting in with the wall. So it's really your low back pushing in because you're engaging in the quad strengthening connection. You're going to really feel it on the tops of the legs. If this is challenging for your knees at all, you can either walk your feet out further or come up more on the wall. Yes. And so again, making sure that if you've made that change with your feet, that you're coming back in with a 4 to 5 inch distance. Good. You can always scoot up onto the wall if you need. It's okay if your shoulders or your head come off of the wall, but what's most important is that you have that lumbar connection engaged in the wall. And you're going to hold this for 2 minutes. And then to come out of this position, then we're not going to have you hold for 2 minutes. But to come out of this position, then again, you're going to walk back, and you're just going to slide up the wall, placing your hands on the wall. This E-cise is air bench. Thank you again. This was a demonstration of the E-cises from the Egoscue Institute, and we had a good time demonstrating them to you. We wish you enjoyment in following along.